We will call the Grant County Board of Commissioners to order Monday, May 2nd. We will note that 2 of 3 members are present. We do have quorum and we will be moving forward. Would invite you to stand as we have prayer, and then Mr. Burton will lead us in the pledge. Gracious God, our Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, we are grateful for your love and your tender mercies, for your impact upon our lives, upon our families, and our community. We ask this day, Father, that you will help us as we are doing the work of the county government, that you will grant wisdom and direction in all things that we're doing, and in all things continue to press us forward in following after you. It's in your precious name we pray. Amen.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. There'll be some changes in the agenda today. Things moved out of place, but we will continue to move forward with this. Some items will be kept very short, simply because we want to have all commissioners here for discussion. But we will move right ahead. The current claims, minutes, payroll, and in our pack, Mike, we have pre-approval from April the 25th. Invoice edit reports in the general batch were $80,630.06. Other batch, $208,640.10. Highway batch, $13,305.77, for a grand total of $302,575.93. That was pre-approved, and we would need a motion to ratify that pre-approval.
Okay, so moved.
I will second that. Any discussion on any of those payments? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried. We do have today's invoice edit reports, and those would include general invoice edit reports in the amount of $43,062.37. The other batch in the amount of $89,831.59. Highway batch $40,411.61, for a grand total of $173,305.57. We need a motion to pay those bills.
Okay, motion to approve.
I will second that. And any questions on those?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 2-0. We are also looking at payroll number 9. This was a pre-approval given on April 26th. Gross amount of $525,734.92. It was paid out on the 29th of last month, and so we would need a motion to ratify that payroll number 9 pre-approval.
Okay, motion to ratify the payment.
I will second that. And I don't think we're going to discuss folks getting paid. So all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think we have covered those claims at this point. We don't have any minutes. I dropped some off in your office, but last week, but those weren't ready.
Finalized yet.
Okay. So we will move on to communication board updates. We'll start with auditor and work around the room.
I have nothing new to add today. So.
We'll move to the next one. Thank you. Other elected officials, committees that need to report? Hearing none. All right, we do have items. Clerk of Courts and Weights and Measures. And I believe, Mike, that we can receive both of those at the same time if you so desire.
Yes. Yeah, I move that we receive both reports.
All right, motion, Mr. Burton, to receive Weights and Measures and monthly Clerk of Courts report is presented. I will second that. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, is carried. And Marcus has an IT report.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Yeah, so the one item I brought with me today was just the RFP from the DSN group. Last time we approved the financing for that piece. However, they are needing the actual RFP proposal signed by you gentlemen. So that's why I'm here in front of you to formally get that done, and to also have Kyle review it as well, which I believe Justin may have even already sent it to him for his review, along with the financial documents. Is that right, Justin?
Yes, that'll
Yeah.
include the RFP and the leasing agreement.
Basically, we've covered the hurdles. We've gotten over the hurdles for the commissioners. The council has already given their blessing.
Yeah.
Since you have that budgeted and we've got everything right, I think it could be appropriate, Mike, if we wanted to approve this, the RFP, and be ready to sign it pending the approval of our attorney.
Motion to approve.
I will second that. Any other discussion or questions for Marcus
No.
on that? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 2-0.
All right.
That was painless.
That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad.
Mark, I would like to, I guess, ask, what I saw in the document last week, I believe it was, it has a payment date of April, or May the 4th on that as a due date. Is
Yeah.
that still the case?
Justin contacted, what was her?
Suzanne, so
Yeah.
the person that sent that out, I called her and spoke with her Friday. She's working on that with
Yeah.
her team, because I told her simply, it's not gonna happen.
It's too quick.
So they
Yeah.
wanted it approved pending attorney approval, and she's gonna go back to her team once I report that this has been approved, and they'll work on pushing that.
Yeah,
out.
get an extension.
But they are not
She
expecting.
mentioned, I believe that email, if it's the same person, they would be willing to send their packet for an overnight
That's correct.
submission too, so that may be helpful as well. If they would do that.
Right.
Okay. I just don't want us to be late.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, thanks again, gentlemen.
Thank you. Have to get up from your chair to come over and talk to us.
Good morning. Update you on a few things. We would like to approve Brooks Construction for the paving for 2022. They were the only contractor that put a bid in for our annual asphalt bids. I did put a copy of the bid form for you and a copy of our list of roads that we'd like to try to pave for 2022. At your desk before you sit down.
So you're looking at 22.11 miles?
Yeah, we're gonna try to do as much as we can, so.
So in your recommendation, we're saying Brooks Construction Company will be our go-to
For asphalt bids,
for asphalt bids,
asphalt materials for 2022.
right? That would be coming as a recommendation to us. We'd need to approve that, sir.
Okay, motion to approve.
I will second that motion. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Yes. The next thing I was gonna bring up is, we were notified from the state about 2 weeks ago, April 19th, that Grant County Highway received $350,000 for matching grant for community crossing. This is for the 10th, or Bridge 789 here on 10th Street in Marion, Indiana. So I'd like to get your approval to have Mark signed off on the e-document so we can get that money headed this direction, so.
So you wanting the commissioners to grant approval to the president to go ahead and sign electronically so we can receive those funds?
Yep.
Since it's gonna be $350,000 worth, we probably should make that a
We should.
motion.
Okay, motion to approve.
I will second that. And all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried.
I think along with some good news with that too is I believe the city of Marion got that trail grant. I seen in the paper the other day that they received. So that project will go alongside with that, so that'll help out on that.
Good.
Along with that, we were kind of waiting, we were hoping to get $650,000 more for a community crossing grant for our chip seal program. We were not selected for that portion of it, but we'd like to still go ahead and now notice our bid for our chip seal oil program that we use, our seal coat asphalt, and we'd like to set that date for May 16th. I hope that's all right because we've already advertised it and everything else.
I would say without objection, yeah.
Okay. Some other things to bring up. I did provide you a letter from BF&S. They're an engineering firm that we've used quite a bit on our bridges that go over the river here in Grant County. Just kind of a copy. I recommend that probably here in the near future that we look at changing out Bridge 712, which is Branson Street here in Marion. If you remember right, that's the one that we have the log jam problem every twice a year, 3 times, depends on how many trees get caught in it. I met with Brian Wright out there a couple weeks ago and kind of looked at seeing a change in taking a pillar or 2 out and leaving the old structure. And then also ask him about what his thoughts were removing the whole thing and replacing it all together. So he kind of gave you a list of his letter. He said to replace take a couple pillars out and replace the deck. He was estimating around $3.1 million. To replace the whole bridge, he was in the ballpark of around $4 million. I believe he's a little low on his numbers because Pennsylvania was 3.7 and all we did was the deck on it. So I think he's a little low, but I guess my main point is I would like to try to get them started in some type of agreement on designing it and getting it ready for federal aid projects. If you remember in the past, we've kind of have them shovel ready so that if the state does award federal aid jobs, we're ready to go. So if it'd be all right with you, gentlemen, I'd like to contact BF&S and have them kind of get a scope of work ready and see what it's going to cost to have them design it, purchase right away and all that.
Just this more history in the question, but didn't we have some questions or concerns with Washington Street Bridge on its historical value at one point?
Yeah, actually this one here is older than that one.
Okay.
So we've got to look into that a little bit. So that was one thing that it says it's on the historical thing. So we've got to check when we start this process what the hoops we have to go through. So.
Okay, that was kind of part of my line of thought. So.
We've already looked at that. We think the main thing is because it really don't have beams, it's a whole slab. So we know back then they didn't do a lot of whole slabs. So but that's the only thing we can figure out why it's quote historical. So we'll have to do a little investigating on that. So
okay, yeah, I mean, you know, that could change the scope if somebody puts their thumb down and said, no, this is a historical bridge and
right,
you're going to have to jump through more hoops and we may double or triple the price.
And I would say the sooner we can get stuff ready, hopefully there will be some more money coming to help on those type of projects. So.
basically, we're asking for some engineering work.
Right.
Okay. Have we put a price tag on that engineering work yet?
I would say ballpark, I'd say you're probably gonna be $200,000 for design and, you know, depends on all the permitting and everything else.
And you have that in your budget that we can draw on.
Yeah, we'll start getting it ready.
I would entertain a motion to proceed with the Branson Street architectural drawings.
Okay, motion to approve.
I'll second that. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is carried.
I have a bridge out on 1100 South, just east of State Road 37, about a mile and a half. It's bridge number 138. I've met with USI and SJCA. They're both engineering firms out of Indianapolis. I've got some quotes on designing and getting permits. USI was right around $113,950, and SJCA was $110,245. I'd like to recommend that we use SJCA. I've never really worked with them, but I'd like to try to see how they do. And then this, right now, they're looking at doing a 3-sided structure. But we might have to move it up to a bridge. They've got to do the hydraulics and everything on it. But I'd like to recommend that we get an agreement with them to start working on this bridge project if possible. They also will help on, if we apply for community crossing grant, to get the paperwork for us to apply for that, so.
Okay. Would you?
Yeah, motion to approve the request.
I will second that. And again, that's Bridge 138?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried.
One other thing I would like to bring up, I want to make sure it's still all right. We help small communities. I know that we've already been contacted by Fairmount for doing some chip sealing, and then we're also going to pave into Van Buren a little bit, and they want to know if we can do a couple blocks that extends our road on, if that's all right with you gentlemen, so.
It would be in their limits or our,
It's actually in their limits, but it's 450 north that goes right in the,
we just carry it
right.
in a couple of blocks.
We'll just bill them for the material like we always do, if that's all right. Haul it while we're hauling it, so.
We've done that before. I think we can do that with consent, so.
One other thing is I have out on County Road 875 South, just east of Wheeling Pike, I have a small structure that I need to change. The bad thing is it goes back to about a half a dozen houses, and there's only one way in and one way out. I've got permission from the farmer to tile it and go over on his property to get around the structure while we're replacing it. My question, or I want to make sure it's all right, is when I get done, I'd like to extend the structure on, but I'd like to leave all that tile there for the farmer. So he can get he has a field to the west and a field to the east, and he can just cross over the creek. And then we'll just leave it in there. It won't hurt anything, but it'll help us get people in and out while we're doing construction on the old part. I've already talked to the surveyor's office. It's not on the ditch assessment or anything like that, so.
The thing that we need to at least work with Kyle on and get some type of agreement is that that landowner would receive that as a private crossing, and he would assume any future work on that. It would not be county property after we would abandon it. So if you can work with Kyle on that to get some type of an agreement.
I just want to make sure, because like you said, it is off the right of way, but like I said, we'll just cross over and basically extend ours underneath the road, leave it there, so.
Okay.
The only other thing I had to bring up is I know that we've talked in the past about a building for our facility, for a storage building to kind of get rid of the Boys and Girls Club that we currently own, and I just didn't know if you want me to try to get some prices or quotes on doing things, or how you'd like for me to do that?
I think it's fair that we can present a clear picture of what that would cost instead of just kicking around the idea. I know that there's a little bit of a hesitancy from the council's perspective on spending money right now, but we don't know how much that's going to help us until we've got the drawings and stuff. And as well, I did mention to the council president that we're trying to get rid of that garage situation on 33rd Street. So
Yeah.
he acknowledged that, and so go ahead and at least find out what that's going to look like for us.
Okay. That's all I have today.
Any questions for Highway? Thank you, sir. All right, we're moving toward old business. And just check to see if Hermit has joined us. I don't see anybody online. Todd Durnall, you are not online, are you? Todd is not. He is not with us. So the presentation of payment request packet number 12. Jim, was that question you had in that packet or the other packet?
Well, actually, there are questions in both. The number 12, I think it'd be appropriate as the email that was received just recently from Pyramid to table that one until they provide some documentation for what their billing is. It shows on this cover $9,665.54. We've paid a portion of that, but there's still a portion they need to provide some documentation. So I would say leave that one on the table until they provide that.
Mr. Burton, is that all right with you? We leave that on the table? Very good. We will move on to Indiana Motorcycle Preservation Society, the Hog Days event request. And I saw Don, and we have both gentlemen back with us today. Thank you for coming. We sent some information over to our attorney. I'm trying to find it in my packet here real quick. There we go. Mr. Sadoff, did we get a full agreement from Mr. Persinger on this?
Yes, as long as they sign the express waiver of liability.
All right. Have you received a copy of this, gentlemen?
No.
Okay. If you don't mind stepping up, either one or both of you, whichever. Don got up faster than you did. And basically, I guess Mr. Persinger did write this up for us. Any cautions or questions that you have? If you want to present that, we'll give you guys the opportunity to review this. I don't think you just want to say, yeah, we'll do it, and without reading it and making sure that your committees are good with it. And Justin, remind me, are we asking each participant to sign this?
No.
Just the organization itself?
Society, yes, sir.
Okay.
You're the one who needs to be reading this.
Yeah, we'll take it. And then
Okay.
just get back to me whenever you guys have reviewed, signed.
Okay.
But we are very much comfortable with this particular waiver, and then you guys can do anything that you want to with each individual at your own discretion.
So once we sign this and give it back to Justin, we're free to go ahead with the project?
That would be our intent.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Thank you, sir.
All right. And if you do have questions, Pat or Don, don't hesitate to give us a call in, and we'll fill them.
All right, very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Right. All right, Justin, policy change proposal.
So this is in regard to the sick bank policy. Earlier, if you remember, I had presented three different options to you. One was to change language, two was to eliminate the policy completely, three was to alter it into a donation. You guys have voted to simply remove and change that new higher language. So this is the new policy, and our attorney has written up the resolution.
Right, so this will help us to clean some things up, to protect not only those who are in the sick bank, but the county as well. And I think it's also, fair to say that we are still working with the policy handbook group to get some new definitions on what personal time, sick time look like in the future. But this will kind of help us tide that gap.
The actual entire handbook is being reviewed. So,
Right, what resolution number number 2? So we are looking to present resolution number 2, amendment to Grant County, Indiana Personnel Policy Handbook regarding the sick bank as amended here.
Motion to approve resolution number 2-2012.
I will second that. Mike, do you have any other questions or discussion on this revision?
No.
Okay. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is carried. Thank you. All right. As I mentioned earlier in the day, we are not going to be speaking much on the issue of solar discussion today, simply because Mr. Mowry is not with us, and we want a full contingent of commissioners in discussion. I can tell you that we have continued to work on the proposal. We're looking at it. We've actually had some suggestions from the community on items that were not seen in that particular proposal, and we are continuing to work on it. So as we move on down the line, we will be addressing all of those issues that we feel like are positive, and those that we need to tweak just a little bit before we get those back to APC. And I think, Justin, help me. Our intention is to get it back by the first meeting in July?
yes, sir.
Okay. All righty. We also have another item under old business that got bumped into new business. That would be Ryan, the area plan, area zoning ordinance appeal amendment proposal.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Just to add something real quick, one thing that David didn't say, Highway Department this morning, they actually started on our 18th demo since April 2021. Number 18 is going down. That's more than we've got down in 20 years.
I think you said something to the council about that, and the amount of savings that you have is just tremendous. Would you share that so that folks in this meeting could hear that as well?
Right now, we were given, last year the council gave us $70,000 additional appropriation for unsafe structures. We were able to get 9 structures down before we actually even got into that 70,000. This year, we've got another, it'll be 9 today, coming down, and still have 60,000 left. So homes, with the highway department, with the council's help in funding and the highway department's muscles, instead of $15,000 to $20,000 per structure, we're paying $3,000 to $5,000, and even on the big buildings, we're getting them down for less than 10.
That's amazing.
So
Congratulations.
but I figured David would toot his horn a little bit on that too, but he didn't.
He's already slipped out, hasn't he?
Okay, so we tabled last month for your review. What we've got is a petition for a zoning map amendment for a property to go from agricultural to general business so that they can bring in a car lot with a repair shop. Property location is at 3940 West 900 South, Fairmount, Indiana. It is actually located inside of Happleman. This went through a public hearing with the Area Plan Commission on April 4th, and the Area Plan Commission put it forward with an unfavorable recommendation to the commissioners.
We did table that last month, asked to bring it back. Initially, we were wondering if, and you give us some direction here. Technically, with commissioner work, if you're giving us an unfavorable recommendation, we have two options. We can go ahead and draw a number, which means we have a general ordinance that we're going to put in there with an unfavorable recommendation, which would probably result in a negative vote. Or if we do not have a motion, it dies lack of a motion. So is either way acceptable to you, or do you want?
Yes, either way is fine. This doesn't happen very often, so it's kind of an odd situation.
Yes. Mike, do you have a preference on either way we go with the number, or just not make it a motion?
No, either's fine with me.
Just want to do whatever's you need legally. So it would probably be our intent not to entertain a motion on this. Just, excuse me, let it die.
Okay.
All right? Unless you change your mind. Mike, you,
No.
okay? That would be our intent.
All right.
Sorry you had to come back for that.
That's okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. We're going to move on. We are not drawing a number. And next on business. Okay, new business, Todd Durnall, presentation of payment request packet 14. Still not online, still not in the room. Do we need to discuss this one?
Well, the email suggested from Pyramid suggests that we just table this until the next meeting. My I guess thought to you is that I definitely would delay or table the request from Pyramid, the $5,519.48. I wouldn't do anything with that one. The others, the one to Rex Collins, Pyramid has signed off on their paperwork saying that their work is complete. So if we believe that to be correct, we could pay them without delay as far as I'm concerned. That'd be a total of $31,600 some dollars, $700 some dollars. And then the other one is a $6,000 payment to J&K. And that's one we don't write the check directly. We purchased that through a lease arrangement with US Bank. So again, the paperwork is included and it's been signed off by Pyramid. So if you feel good about that, you could pay that one as well. I mean, we could authorize US Bank to pay that one as well, as far as I'm concerned. So those top three items, I'd say you wouldn't need to withhold or wouldn't need to table, but up to you.
Is Bob Jackson in the room?
He's back here. I might say on the J&K Communications, if we pay the $6,000, we're still owing them roughly $253,000, I think, to finish the project.
Morning, Bob. I'm wondering, did Rex Collins, have they completed the tower? I see one of them is the part of the tower, I believe.
And this is all tower related, just the one that's the retainage. Okay, it's all tower.
Okay.
Yes, as far as I know, and we were at the last site just 2 weeks ago, the electrical has been completed.
Okay, because they signed off. I just want to make sure that it was specifically tower related, because
Yes.
as soon as the rest of that structure gets up, I want to get those transmissions going, so.
Yes.
Yeah, when they submitted this documentation, and the copy of this is not in this packet, but I have it upstairs, they did sign off that those were complete, and that does include retainage. So obviously, once you've paid this, you've paid them everything. So if there's an issue, you may be stuck. So
Yeah, it's my understanding that the rest of the work to be done at that site is J&K's to do with the install of the antennas.
Okay. Well, I would not be adverse at all in paying those first three and holding on professional services with Pyramid until we get clarification with them.
And just as a thought too on the Pyramid, according to my schedules and the contract amount we have, paying this amount does conclude our contractual payments to them, other than miscellaneous type expenses. So my thought would be, you don't pay that final payment until they've completed the project. That'd be my thought too.
I am inclined to agree with you, sir. Yes, sir.
We've been down that road before.
Yeah, I mean, it's only $5,000 in their scheme, which is small, but I wouldn't pay it till they're done.
So what I'm thinking, Mike, is that we can do a motion to pay Rex Collins, both requests, one at $20,093, the other at $11,678.30, and J&K Communication at $6,000.
Yes. You're looking for a
Would
motion?
you be in it?
Yes, I'll make a motion to that effect. There's two payments to Rex Collins and the third one for J&K Communications.
Thank you. I will second that. That will let us take care of business and keep up a good relationship with those vendors. And I don't think Terry's surprised that we'd hold on to that money either. So we'll say all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have made that payment. Thank you. Thanks, Bob, for the update.
Might just note to you as well, the US Bank agreement we have, we did that in, I believe December of 20, we signed that agreement. And it's an 18-month window. And I believe that window will close like June. And if we need to go beyond that date to finish out the project cost, J&K, we'll probably get an extension. So just let you know, it's looking like, I'm guessing there'll be an extension involved there.
We signed that up in your office, didn't we? We did that work up in your office.
Probably.
I think we did.
I know it was December, I believe, of 20, and we're hoping the 18-month window would be enough, but it looks like, based on what in fact, we still have $253,000 after this payment. It's probably not gonna be done by then, I guess.
Okay.
We'll see. If it is done, great, but I'd probably tell US Bank, hey, get ready, we may need an extension at some
Okay.
point.
You will notify US Bank of this.
Yeah, I'll be taking care of that.
And then I'll get with you later today as far as the account numbers.
Right, and I've got those upstairs ready, so just get with me, but yeah, the 6,000, you don't need to worry about it all.
Okay.
I'll take care of that directly with US Bank. Okay.
Do we need to prompt the council on that as well? Do they need to? Right. Is Melissa in the room? Or Chris? Didn't know who was. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. So I've got some packets for you to talk about the grants, as you guys have requested. So I can just walk us through these if that's helpful.
Yes, please.
Okay, so thinking about some of the probation grants that these are a current snapshot of what we have now. So we have the pretrial services grant, that's a state grant through the Indiana Office of Court Services. This is where we pay for 3 full-time probation officers and 30% of their fringe benefits along with the stipend for the coordinator and local attorney fees for the meaningful first appearances for people who are currently in pretrial services. The application for 2023 has been submitted. I think probably a month ago we got your permission to go ahead and work through that application. Our total request for that grant application is listed there for you. It's $294,996. The next one we have is the BJA grant. This is a federal Bureau of Justice Assistance grant through the Department of Justice. And it's a 3-year grant. We're currently on year 2. Looking at about the blue there is the total award, and then it's broken down by what we receive each year. And that's in the amount of $155,344. This is an enhancement grant, so it really supplements the services that are already happening in the drug court program, and it allows the program to expand capacity from 55 to 70, which also makes what we had to hire. And this grant pays for the position for an additional probation officer and to serve those participants as well. They're used to enhance the roles of peer support specialists, doing recovery coordination, to really address the barriers from getting people who need like inpatient services to the services that are usually generally out of the county. So helps to do that and provide help getting them back into like sober living when they return to the community. They also are doing what we call pro-social community events, recovery events, and so that helps to pay for some of those. And then It pays for program evaluation, so we want to measure what we're doing and seeing how well it's making an impact, so we have to pay for those services as well. And then some training and travel expenses for the team. Then we have the OJJDP, so that's a federal
Say
grant.
that fast.
Yeah, I know. Federal grant from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. And it pays for half the salary and benefits for the Family Recovery Court Coordinator. It pays for overtime, for clerical and grant management support, childcare for participants that are in Family Recovery Court, contracts with CASA. They designate a staff to participate on the team, Family Service Society to provide services, training, program evaluation, incentives, supplies, attorney fees, drug screening for participants. That's also a 3-year grant, so you can see that kind of the breakdown for this year would be about $164,574.
Where are we on that cycle with the 3 years?
So with this one, we are currently on year 3, but we're anticipating a no-cost extension. So they're in the process of working through. So sometimes the award period doesn't align well with when we receive the funds and get it up and running. So they generally will allow us to do a no-cost extension for most of those. Next one. Okay, so the next one is the Justice Partners Grant. And the cap on that is $60,000. So we received $59,999 for that one. The award period for this one, I know you guys were interested in the award periods. This one has changed over the last 3 times. So right now we're currently operating on an August to September cycle. This is a state grant through the Indiana Office Court Services. And we were originally awarded to pay for the salary and benefits of a full-time peer recovery support specialist, but we actually requested to amend that, and we're recently approved for that. So we're going to amend to pay for training, travel, education and treatment, and incentives. And then the next one is another state grant through the Indiana Office Court Services. This is a drug court grant. The award period here is on the fiscal year. It looks at incentives and training. So the award we have now is $8,500. We recently received award notification for the upcoming fiscal year, and it's going to be $5,600. Same funding initiatives. Then we have another state grant through the Indiana Office Court Services, and that is for the Veterans Treatment Court. Right now it's $7,000. It runs on the calendar year. So this looks at participant needs, intervention, incentives, and training. The grant application for this is now open. So our anticipation is to request the same funding amounts in the same initiative for Veterans Treatment Court.
A question came up, so I'm going to ask you so I don't forget it. These particular ones, are these the ones that the judges are applying for themselves?
Our coordinators typically apply for them, so we apply for them over in either in probation or community corrections, and then depends on who they send it to, but it's usually either the coordinator that's signing them or judges or both, and then the state. Yes.
We had just, we've had a good dialogue about who's signing off on what.
Yes.
And why, and making sure that auditor's office and everybody that's involved in touching the money or directing the money, that we're all on the same page, and I appreciate helping us get that understanding.
Sure. Typically what we do after everything is fully executed and we have the copy back from the state, we'll include them, we'll send them directly over to the auditor's office. So they know that they're coming, and most, all of these already have funds. Yep. Yeah.
They're already established.
Yeah, they're established. Yeah, I'm like, they have a fund already, a fund number. So generally, we know that they're coming on a few occasions. We have to kind of backtrack and say, okay, where's this coming from? But we can figure that out fairly easily. So then we have, the next one is a DART, a drug court grant, and this is a local grant through the Grant County Drug and Alcohol Resource Team. So right now we're currently getting $1,500. The award period runs April 1st through March 31st. And this provides funding for incentives and client services. The current grant applications are closed and we are waiting award notification. I had heard that they came out, they made some decisions on Friday. It's likely that it'll be a similar award for the drug court grant here. The new request also included incentives and funds to supply help with those recovery events. The federal grant doesn't allow us to pay for certain things for those events, so we're looking at how can we pay for those things. And then personal items for people who are going into sober living after leaving the jail. So trying to help kind of bridge that gap when they're transitioning back into the community.
And we're using the DART funds for that?
Yeah, that's the new initiative that we're hoping to use that for.
As a general rule, most folks would know what DART stands for.
Right, yeah, so it's.
So let me see if I can say it right. Drug Awareness and Resistance Training.
DART is Drug and Alcohol Resource Team.
Resource team. So this is different than the old DART that they were using in conjunction with the DARE programs.
I'm not sure.
Or maybe it's just evolved.
Yeah, it may have. So local DART will kind of have community who will apply for the funding. My guess is historically they may have received funds from them in the past.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then we have another DART drug court alumni grant, and that's for $1,200. Same award period of April 1st, March 31st. And so this helps to for graduation, supplies, and community awareness. They'll do some work around overdose awareness, especially on the Overdose Awareness Day. Again, these grant applications are closed, so we're just anticipating an award in those areas. So those are the general ones when we look at probation. When we look at like family recovery court, there are some additional grants here. So then we have the Family Recovery Court grant, that's a state grant through the Indiana Office of Court Services, and that's $8,500 currently for this year. This grant is managed by Superior Court 2, and this award funds for their team, so they take their whole team to attend the Justice Services Conference and look at YMCA memberships and incentives for participants. There is a connection when you look at research between exercise and recovery, so they're building on some of that information there. So the current award is $8,500. That runs on a fiscal year, so this upcoming fiscal year award has been recently sent out, and that's going to be $6,400 with the same funding initiatives. Then we have another Family Recovery Court grant from the Indiana Office of Court Services, and it's $7,390. This grant is also managed by Superior Court 2, and it runs on a calendar year. And this looks at evidence-based education materials through the Change Company, moral recognition therapy workbooks, Goodnight Moonbright books for CASA to give to each child, and those books really kind of teach kids what it means to have hope for better days ahead. Thinking about the clients and the kids that they're serving in that program, it's a pretty significant investment there. Hope Rising books for team building and the self-care initiative. Office supplies, certificates, team awards, alumni support, brochures, t-shirts, things like that. Dues and subscriptions for the National Association of Drug Court Professionals. and then team trainings. And then there is a court improvement grant program. And this award is $41,609.51. This is also managed by Superior Court 2. The award period is October 1st through September 30th. And the funds for this are used to have a dual diagnosed peer support specialist, the conference for the National Association of Drug Court Professionals for that peer support specialist, and then legal services and public defender, which helps to provide legal assistance for anything that helps with a permanency. And then we have a court grant. So the Indiana Office of Court Services, so it's a state grant. It's an interpreter grant, and that's $9,590.55. This grant is also managed by Superior Court 2, and the award period runs on a calendar year. And it provides funding for certified court interpreters for all courts. And then we have the community corrections section. The Indiana Office of Court Services has a grant for a reentry court program, which is $10,000 for this year. It runs on the fiscal year, and it looks at substance abuse, mental health assessments and treatment, temporary housing, incentives, training, and drug screens. So the upcoming award period has come out. So we will be receiving $8,000 in the upcoming fiscal year with the same funding initiatives as before. Then Community Corrections has a DART, so the Drug and Alcohol Resource Team, which is that local grant for $3,000. This looks at contractual services with some of our community partners, so Milestone, Grace House, the Rescue Mission, St. Martin's, incentives and drug screens. The grant applications for this one for the upcoming year have closed, and we're awaiting award notification. And part of that is the same process as before. I've heard that we're going to be receiving nothing necessarily formally, but this year we put in for $8,000. Because we're going to look at adding evaluation, client materials, training, and assessments. So we made a significantly higher request this year. We're looking hopeful, I think, in terms of that award coming in the future. The Community Corrections Supervision Grant is what we talked about the last time I was here. This is a state grant through the Indiana Department of Corrections. This provides money for 14 full-time staff members, salaries, insurance, and benefits. Currently, we have $881,128 for this year. The application you authorized last time, and so that's already been sent in for 2023. And the total request for this particular grant was $888,628, with the new initiative focusing on peer coaching, and then everything else remaining pretty much the same. Then we have the court recidivism reduction program. Right now, we currently are receiving $391,450, and this is, again, a state grant through the Indiana Department of Corrections. These funds pay for 5 full-time staff members, salaries, insurance, benefits. Again, the application has already been submitted for 2023 with a total request of $503,315, with the new initiative focusing on a mental health case manager position and up to 10 years of experience, supplies, phone, and computer for that position as well.
Do we assume that we're going to at least get the 391,000 and hope that bump up? We're going to get the bump up, or?
Yeah, that's our hope. Yeah, these funds have been pretty consistent for many years, and with anything, there's always the fear of cuts, and we've seen some of those but historically not through the community corrections side. Yeah, that's our hope is, we kind of looked at is now the best time to, with the things that we're seeing, is now the best time to put in that request, and we felt like it was, so they could always say no, but our hope is that they wouldn't. And then the other one that we have is the jail treatment, so this is a 1006 grant, and that's for $52,500. Our request again is for the 2023 has been submitted, and the request for this one stayed the same. And it's really contractual services with Grant Blackburn Mental Health to provide moral recognition therapy and seeking safety to groups while they're incarcerated in the Grant County Jail.
Does your department or the sheriff's department, who does the eval on how these type of programs are working?
So, great question. That would fall on more on us and the treatment providers. So right now, COVID has kind of run into some obstacles, and so we've had to kind of delay and restructure and then delay, so it's hard to get that information, but we look at pre and post test to kind of evaluate where are they before and where are they after services. So that would be more of the treatment provider and or us to evaluate those things.
Thank you.
So when we look at all these, I've kind of run you really quickly through. We have a total of 17 grants in court services. The total funding for all these awards is $2,007,158.06 for this year.
I'm glad I don't have to do the calculations on all that money. I'm not sure he's.
Well, I'll defer that to Angie in those cases.
I have another question, if that's okay. Different projects, grants have talked about salaries and benefits. When it comes to setting salaries, is there a criteria that the state puts a bottom line? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so for all certified probation officers, the state sets a minimum salary scale. And so it's based off of years of experience. So they have, 0 years experience, 1, 2, 3, and then they kind of go into kind of brackets from like 4 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, and 20 and beyond. That's kind of how it's currently set. And so the state says this is how much you have to pay minimum. Some counties will say this is the minimum and we pay more than that. Grant County says this is the minimum and that's what we pay. And so the state has they actually just came out with the most recent one that's going to come into effect next year. And so they'll start dispersing that out and putting that out on their website, I believe this week. So they look at that and say, this is what you should be compensating people based on their experience.
And then when you bring in budget for the council to review, that will reflect what the state minimum is.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll calculate those. Our office manager will say, here's their date, their anniversary date, and they get paid at this rate for so many pays, and they get paid at this rate for so many pays. So those will be all calculated out and put into the budget. So then what happens is so about 2 years ago, we had several people, a couple people retire, and they were at the higher end, and so what ends up happening is it's already budgeted for that amount, so we can hire in up to that year of service, but what we end up doing is hiring a lot of newer people with little to, significantly less experience, and so that was helpful for the county too.
Good.
So we kind of, so when anybody leaves, we can't hire anybody with more experience than they have had unless we come.
I think different departments, I think the state is actually looking at that qualification for other departments outside probation and judicial, that they may be saying, from this point on, these particular certified workers for the county have to start at a base pay as directed by the state and not by council. So I was wondering how that played out for you guys.
Yeah, for us, so what we're seeing too is other professional, occupations will pay higher than what we do at the start out, and so you start to see some of that competition of recruitment, and so I think probably consistent with other areas too, where if you're paying less, then people are less excited about taking a pay cut. Some do though.
We become a training ground, and then they go to bigger, better grounds to. This helps clear up a lot of things, and I really appreciate the effort that you put into educating us and hopefully the council as well. So.
Yeah. So happy to do it. There's a significant amount of, I think, work that goes into through court services to really be aggressive about looking for these potential opportunities, and just that commitment to serving the people that we're working with the best that we can.
I would say most of our community does not realize the depth at which y'all work for the community, and again, we say thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions that pop up for you, Mike?
No.
Okay.
You've given my head plenty more to be thinking about. So. Thank you so much.
Yep, thanks.
All right. Kathy, Quarters Office, you want us to do some more work?
Yep.
You want to do work.
I'll be quick.
You don't want us to do work.
Now I'm doing the work. I have two addendums for my original Condor contract, which is the back indexing company that's been doing our back indexing for the microfilm documents we had that we're now digitizing. One's for 1967 to 73, and the other one is for 73 or 74 to 79. And Kyle's already approved them.
These are for your signature, right? You just need their consent.
Yeah, because they already signed the original contract.
And again, is this coming, which account is this?
My perpetuation fund.
Perpetuation fund. So you've got plenty of money to cover these?
Yes.
Well, we've already signed the contract once. We're just asking for them to do some more work, Mike. So
Yep.
would you be interested in approving these two contracts?
Yes, motion to approve.
I will second that, and that motion did have in it, I know I heard him say it, that Kathy signs on behalf of the county.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is carried.
Thank you.
That was pretty painless, wasn't it?
Painless and short.
All right. Bob's already been up once. I should have just said, you had your chance. How you doing today again?
I'm doing well. So Mr. Sadoff and Mr. Persinger have helped us develop this ordinance, language in this ordinance. The Communications Policy Board basically worked through this and is currently working on the comm plan, communications plan for the county. So what this would do is basically when we develop that plan, that the commissioners ultimately will have to approve and sign off on. That document would be the overriding document that protects basically the county, sets forth how we'll communicate with our emergency communications throughout the county, and that will change over time. So what we thought we would do is basically put this ordinance in place that the comm plan we know will be updated every year. This ordinance would basically say that the comm plan is the plan of record, and we'll move forward with that. So we don't have to keep coming back every time there's a change. We know that the network is going to change over time as we improve and make changes and additions. So we don't have to keep coming back for an ordinance change.
So we're making a blanket or umbrella ordinance that says currently what is there is our plan, and any improvements, adjustments, corrections, deletions, editorial
Yep.
changes, works under this.
Yes, yes. The only sticking point, and will be addressed in the comp plan, I know we've had a conversation before, was the purchase and programming of radios that will operate in Grant County on our system. That will be, at least initially, that would be limited to a couple of vendors, and the county currently has 4 programmers that work within the county under the policy board's approval to do that programming. There again, it's important that we maintain the integrity of the system so that just anybody can put a radio on and program it themselves.
Help me, I know we're kind of stepping off of this initially, but are those 4 programmers, are they certified? Are they under law enforcement or fire, or where
Believe it or not, I have to sign for them to work. So IPSC, the
Okay.
Indiana Communications, Public Safety Communications Commission, basically, they have to be approved by them as well, and also by the vendors. So they have to go through training, chief certification to the vendors, through IPSC, and then also the policy board has to approve those individuals.
Good, okay. I appreciate that clarification, because there are a lot of talented folks out there that know how to push buttons and tweak, programs and
Yep.
put things in, but at the same time, if they don't have the blessing of IPSC and our people, then that puts us at jeopardy, so
And
appreciate that.
unfortunately, we learned that through that exact thing happening. So this will certainly protect the integrity of our system as we move forward. And the intent is not to limit that just in the beginning till we know that the system is up robust enough that we can start adding other vendors. We will certainly let that happen, but the county just needs to be in control of that.
Yes.
So that board operates under basically the authority of commissioners. The plan will be approved by the commissioners, so you will have oversight at every step of the way.
And those individuals are named in that plan.
They will be named in the plan, and currently they have to be, in fact, I just signed their certificates last week and sent them back to the state.
We kind of set this up a little bit differently. Usually we have an ordinance number and then dash 2022, and I see that it's reversed there on this particular ordinance. So,
It's also got an April date at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yes.
so maybe we can get that cleaned up, but we can move forward with a vote, and when we have the edited version, we can sign off
Do
on
that,
it.
Justin, or you need
Yeah,
to?
I can do that.
Do you feel all right with moving forward with an
Yes.
ordinance on that, Mike?
Yes.
What ordinance number would we be? Number 3 would be 3-2022. Grant County Public Safety Communications System Purchase and Programming of Land Mobile Radio Ordinance. And that will be adopted in the month of May, not in April as well. And I would entertain a motion.
Okay, motion to approve ordinance number 3-2022.
I will second that. Any other discussion or questions for Bob?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
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 Just a related note, I did just receive a text from Kevin, so they're back at work at the Liberty site today, putting the rest of that height up. And then the plan right now is next week that they will bring in a big crane and we should start to see the rest of the towers go up.
So we should have the first 80 feet up and then waiting on the big crane.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything you want to feed us? Did you say anything about the COVID meeting this morning that I missed? I tried to call in and it wouldn't let me.
Sorry about that. So we did have a briefing this morning. The only really thing of note for COVID is the hospital does still seeing upon occasion, a day or two a week, an uptick in admissions. So there are people still reporting to the hospital that are sick and need care there. and we continue to watch. Dr. Moore reported the different variants that are out there across the world.
Are the ones still requiring hospitalization, are they falling back to Delta, or is this the Omicron that's putting them in?
You know, the hospital didn't tell me that information, so I don't know. And actually, believe it or not, flu was the other one that, so between the two things, that caused the hospital a little concern on a few days, but overall, they're doing well. But there again, it's the vulnerable population that we know, and we continue to watch with them. Our long-term care facilities have been doing well, so there's no major reports there. Continue to watch.
And you're still doing a monthly meeting to keep all of our players involved, okay?
Yep, that team's too delicate and too important to lose, so we'll keep them intact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Justin, I think we're ready to go to courthouse.
Before you, you'll have two bids specifically for Judge Kenworthy's office. One being Morrell, the other Staggs. Kyle's measured but did not bid. We have Morrell's coming in at, this is kind of complicated because they did 3 different measurements in one. But Morrell's came in at $3,125. Staggs came in at $3,000.17. And currently they are over there. Hutchins is finishing up in the public defender's office. They have most of Kenworthy's done, and they finished Judge Todd's damage as well. And Brad is over there painting concepts.
So in theory, we're off less than $200
Yeah.
in a bid. And were we advised, are we required to take lowest bid, or are we
Best and lowest.
best and lowest,
My recommendation would be for Staggs.
right? Any thoughts, Mike, on the presentation there?
No, pretty well answered my questions.
Okay, so the recommendation coming to us with best and lowest would be to award Staggs floor covering, the work at the courthouse, in the amount of $3,017.
Motion to approve the carpet award to Staggs floor covering for $3,000.17.
I will second that. Any other discussion? I mean, ultimately, we know that this is a result of the coil that burst and poured out water, not only in the court area, but it went down into the public defender's office as well. So we're still working on getting all that back to order. So I guess all in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried. Thank you, Justin. Do we have any other work over there that is still coming to us with bids, or that cap things off there?
As far as Judge Kenworthy's and the damage,
Yes.
no, I believe that takes care of everything.
I think it was last week, maybe the week before. Yeah, it's probably the week before. We did a tour over there, and they were putting in the drywall, getting ready to seal those things back up. So
Yeah,
slowly but
ceiling should
surely.
be done. I believe cabinetry is coming this week as well, so we're getting closer.
Okay.
Did insurance cover pretty much all that, or did we have some deductible that came into play?
There was, I believe, 10,000 deductible.
Okay.
I think there was, but yes, the rest of it's covered, no question. And it's all in an account already.
I know we put the
It's already set
proceeds
aside.
in that account, right?
Yeah.
I see. We do have individuals in the room that would like to address the Board of Commissioners. We will do that in 2 segments. We have, I'm sure, a couple folks that want to talk about solar. We'll set aside a little time for that. Anyone else that would like to address the Board of Commissioners, we invite you to step up we'll do non-solar first, folks. That's what I'm trying to say, sorry. Anyone that would like to address the Board of Commissioners, we invite you to step up to the podium, present your name, your address, and concerns or comments, and we'll go from there. Did see Mr. Rogers, didn't I? Mr. Rogers, did you want to talk to us today?
No, I'm talking solar.
Oh, you want to talk solar today?
No, I don't, no.
Oh, no. No, we'll do solar last. So.
All right. So I'm coming to let you know about the.
If you could, name and address for the record, sir.
Dwayne Rogers,
Thank you.
3545 South Blue Street, Mary, Indiana, 46953.
Thank you, sir. Go right ahead.
So I want to know, can I get permission to put the poster boards outside again?
What we did before, the best of my recollection is, we allowed you to be there and to display what you were holding, but we would not allow them to be posted and remain. You have to be there with them.
Right, right.
So as long as you are there with them, you're okay. And in the past, we've allowed that. Anyone that wanted to have a public demonstration had the right to do so, as long as it didn't interfere with the flow of traffic in and out of the courthouse, and as long as you're there with your posters.
All right, so it's okay.
As long as you're with them, you're in good shape. Do you have specific days that you are wanting to be out there? We just need to kind of have that for our record.
Can I start today?
You could start today. Do you have a campaign time that you're thinking of, or?
No, not really.
Why don't we do it this way? We'll put a slight limitation that you have 2 full weeks to demonstrate, and then if you feel like you need more time, you can come back. How's that?
All right.
Very good?
Yeah.
Is that good for you, Mr. Burton?
Yes.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Other individuals that would like to discuss anything with the commissioners outside of solar?
Julie Hartman, 2640 East, 1050 South Paramount. I was just curious, I guess he left, I was wondering we're all here, I didn't hear what his campaign was.
Mr. Rogers has an ongoing campaign. He is a particular clergy. He has some type of clergy credential, and he is promoting work with the United Nations and a prophetic group that he's associated with.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Any others outside of solar? Right. Hearing none, we have about 10 minutes that we will open up the floor on concerns. And again, I would encourage you, if you were able to speak at a previous meeting on this, give other folks the opportunity to make a presentation. But for the next 10 minutes, we will entertain any thoughts of discussion on solar. Again, just step up to the podium, your name, your address, and concerns or comments.
Jackie Sheets, 9409 East, 1200 South. I would just like to know how long you will continue to table solar discussion if Ron Mallory continues to be absent. I feel the entire county shouldn't be waiting on one unreliable man.
Thanks, Jackie. Like I said, we have a prescription. We have to have something back to the APC by the first meeting in July. We are working on that. Technically, we're working on it individually, and then we come together to develop what would be our recommendations back to the APC. So in reality, whether Ron's here or Mike's absent, or even if I'm absent, these things will keep going on, and we will have a recommendation by July, first meeting in July. I think that's July 5th.
Yeah, July 5th is on a Tuesday.
But the 4th is on a Monday, and that's a holiday, so please.
Thank you. Harold King, 707 South Sims, Swayze. You mentioned that you are getting public input on the solar ordinance. Could be drainage, tillage. Before this is discussed in your meeting, will there be a draft available online that the public can look at and be prepared?
I think right now, the draft that's in question is the draft that was sent to us.
Correct.
So that's what we're working off of right now. We had, is Ryan in the room?
He's online.
He's online. Ryan, we had, please tell me how many drafts we had, and ultimately it's the one that the APC sent us that we have to look at, discuss. We may send something else at a different time, but that's what we're working on. That's what you gave us, right?
Yes. Technically, it would be draft 7, I guess.
Okay.
So what?
He had 6, and this is what got recommended.
Okay. So we will be working off of draft 7, and any comments or corrections that we would want to send back would be off of draft 7.
So that will be discussed at your next meeting.
It will be a continuing process of discussion. There may be some things that the commissioners look at in this draft and say, we agree with this section, and this section, and we're going to approve it to move back without any question. Any discussion items, that'll be forthcoming.
Okay, and the next meeting where this will be on the agenda will be when?
It's always going to be on our agenda. It doesn't mean we're going to hit it hard each week.
All right, one of the things I would suggest, talking to your family and friends, the big question is, from my house, how close do I want that solar panel to my house and your house? Because that puts it in perspective. So thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Got about 6 minutes left. Anybody else want to share this morning?
Yeah, good morning, and not to be redundant, but I'm Andy Ellis out of Fairmount. And again, wanted to encourage you to approve the ordinance as presented to you. And just to be clear, the ordinance that was drafted went through several weeks, as you've already noted, to get where it was at, and was overwhelmingly supported by the Area Plan Commission. I believe the vote was 7-1 to go forward with it. It did try to address the needs of the setbacks. I know there's still, that seems to be a rub in terms of they think the setbacks, or heard some feedback even in the paper that maybe it was too restrictive. I guess I would remind folks that there are some counties in Indiana that have completely denied approval for solar farms. That is a much more restrictive ordinance than what we've come up with. I mean, we've tried to be fair, but trying to understand the needs of the community. And I would ask that you please, he said it right. Friends, families, the people you represent are more important than the special interests. So it's important for us to take care of our community. It's in your hands, and it's important for you to take that responsibility seriously. And I know you are, but in the same token, going to all these different meetings, heard virtually nobody in support of solar farms, large-scale industrial solar farms going in next to their house. With the exception, of course, the solar community, the solar companies, as well as some people that have been invited to speak that have been outside of our community. Been very few folks within our community that have spoken in favor of large-scale industrial farms, solar farms in our community. Speaking of farms, this is going to replace farms. Farms are obviously a big part of our community here in Grant County. So when we talk about benefits, what are the benefits of these? I know they say there's going to be taxes that we're going to receive as a result of this, but think of the trickle-down effect. When you start taking 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 acres per lot out of our agricultural, think of the loss of food, think of the loss of jobs. Think of the people at the local co-op that are no longer selling seed. There is really, the negative impact of putting these in place is significant. Not to mention the fact that we're talking years and years and years and years where this stuff will go obsolete on us. We know technology is moving so quickly that I don't see how that what they put in the fields today is going to be viable in 45 years. Yet it's still going to be there. So please think about the benefits versus what we're doing to our community and the importance of our agricultural backbone and what it does for us every day. And again, there is some concern that when you're leafing through this and you're tweaking, who's doing the tweaking and who are you getting? Because your friends and your family are probably going to ask you to please protect them. Because that's what I hear you doing when I'm in here, and I would very much like for us to think you'll do it again. So please support the ordinance as presented to you as written. And I know that there's been some concerns from the Drainage Board, and I second that. I don't think we want a lot of flooding that we used to have years ago, and those drainage tiles and things were put in there for a reason. So I understand tweaks like that, but trying to put solar farms within 200 foot of somebody's dwelling is I just don't think that's appropriate. That's not an appropriate tweak. So again, thank you so much for your time, and vote for the ordinance as written. Thank you.
Got about 2 minutes left.
I'll be right behind you.
All right.
I'm gonna take 30 seconds.
Myron Brangle, 5450 East, 550 North, Van Buren. American agriculture is under attack. Last year, China attacked America with this virus. America was sick. We're starting to come out of it pretty much. Right now, our agriculture is under attack. And you better stop and realize you won't read anything in the paper or hear it on the news. The only way you'll hear about it is farm magazines and things that we deal with. Governor Newsom has shut up how many thousand acres of fruit off in California to save water. That's just a minor thing. The government, with this new Green Deal is coming down, you know, supposedly we're polluting the atmosphere. China is not. It's the greatest polluter there is. They're coming against us in every way. What is happening today? Why are these food distribution processing plants being attacked and burned? Find out. Check into that. Up to 20 of them right here in America as we speak. These are plants that's bringing food into our grocery stores and everything. And people are saying, yeah, they're getting short in the grocery store. They're going to get a lot more short. Why is that? It's because American food and agriculture is under attack as we speak. Who's the great villain? We know who it is. It's China. And they've got this virus that's killing chickens, turkeys, ducks, and everything. What's it going to be next? The swine flu? They're talking about how expensive chicken, and they're saying that you can eat that chicken, but we got to kill all the birds. Eggs are going to be expensive. You don't read anything about that. You don't hear about the chickens being, well, it's a virus, you know, that's going through. But it's manufactured, let me tell you, 100% manufactured against the American farmer and our food. Our food is under attack. And then another way that we're being attacked is when you're coming in and saying you've got to put solar on all of our farm ground or make it available and pay it a high price. They could pay me $20,000 an acre every year for 30 years, and I would not rent them to put solar on that ground. We need that land.
That's right.
What's happening right now? China, or Putin is attacking Ukraine, trying to wipe them out. What do you read this morning? You don't hear nothing on the news about it. Well, on the ag news, pro-farmer, you know what they're going to attack now? Their grain facilities. They're a large exporter of corn and different grains, and they're going to wipe them out. That way they won't have any income, or much income, and Russia will have more. How's that going to affect us? I mean, we've got to grow the crop. We've got to have corn, soybeans, wheat, alfalfa, and everything else on our farm ground to feed the American people. We grow food. We don't grow solar panels. The people in Ukraine, humanitarian organizations are asking us to send food, the American farmer, to Ukraine. We do. They don't say, send us a couple solar panels. Stop and think about it. With all this land that's going out of production and this big solar field that Ryan drew up over here out of Watt County, flat ground, full of solar panels. We are late getting our crop planted. If Ukraine gets, if they get their facilities bombed, which they will, Putin will do it, nobody will stop him, nobody in the world. And then these other countries that's contacting us for food, Mexico, or Haiti, I'm sorry, had a missionary call and wanted to know if we could send corn. We sent them a full semi-load of corn. They didn't ask for solar. They wanted food. That's what we do. We grow food on our farm ground. And there's not one field of high productive ground or productive agriculture that should have a solar panel on it. And it's going to make people pissed off at me, and I don't care, because it's coming home to roost. And this is the year it's going to happen. We are going to be out of food before this year is out. Biden has even said that. I mean, I don't know who told him, but undoubtedly, you know, he's getting us prepared for it. And, but it's, we need to find, Pro-Farmer newsletter comes out. I subscribe to that. It's an older newsletter. I get it on my email every morning. I want to read 5 sentences here.
With that, Myron, when you read those, we'll have to go to, we're already over, so finish up reading on that and we'll go to Mr. Lyons real quick.
FBI warns of ag super attacks. This came out this morning. The FBI issued a private industry notification alerting ag co-ops and agribusinesses about the potential increase in ransomware attacks during planting and harvest season. It cited 2 ransomware attacks on U.S. agriculture so far in 2022, in addition to 6 last fall. The FBI said a significant disruption of grain production could impact the entire food chain.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, this is a serious matter.
Andy Lyons, 1514 Marlin Drive, Marion. Briefly echoing Myron's thoughts. This whole thing is a debacle for a variety of reasons. And I believe that the magnitude of this decision requires that all the commissioners be involved face to face to the people that voted for them. I know that Mr. Mowry is not well, but somebody needs to be sitting in that seat listening to these people. Nothing should be done on this until somebody can sit in that seat and hear Myron and hear these people. We are talking hundreds of millions of dollars. We're not talking $50,000 of this and that. Hundreds of millions of dollars. tens of thousands of people's lives impacted. They're not impacted by the $20,000 adjustment or payment, but they're impacted by this. As a citizen, we need somebody there to hear people talk, not listen and not read stuff at home and make decisions that we can't hear and see. That's what we pay people for, to hear us. And I believe that if this goes to July 1st with recommendation, and he hasn't been here, that you two are doing a disservice to the people of this county by going ahead with a recommendation. Because he needs to hear this. And if he can't, then he needs to be replaced with somebody that can.
Just want to make sure I heard you right, Andy. If we, for whatever reason, adopted the current ordinance and he didn't do it, it would be inappropriate?
I want him to hear these people. He is an elected official. I have nothing against Ron. I like Ron. We need to have a full set of commissioners here to hear this.
We do.
And I don't think that he wasn't here last week or 2 weeks ago. He's not here, now. We don't know when he's coming back or available, right?
That's out of our hands.
I understand
But
that. But what I'm saying is
just
that
a little civics on,
Yeah.
on commissioners. That's why we have 3.
I understand.
So-
I understand there's a quorum.
We move forward to get the business done.
I understand the quorum rules. I understand all of that. What I'm saying is these people deserve to have the 3rd commissioner that was elected by this county to be present and to hear what's going on, not just reading whatever the recommendations are, whatever the ordinances say. They need to be available for people to hear. That's what we're paying them for.
No,
I'm not disparaging Ron, because we all have issues.
And I'm not arguing with you on that.
I understand the procedure process.
Just
I get all
remember, he
that.
was also on the ABC that voted to send it to us.
I'm just saying, he needs to be here.
So I think
just
he's
believe-
aware. Yeah.
Well, I just think he needs to be here. I think the majority of people here think that they need to have the representative here before anything of this magnitude happens.
And Ron did vote for that ordinance.
Well, I still think he just needs to be here.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right.
There's nothing against Ron. I mean,
We have gone
we need more
over-
people here.
We have gone over the allotted time, and we thank you for your input. Our next meeting, please remind me, I don't have my calendar pulled up. 16th, May 16th at 10 a.m. will be our next scheduled meeting. And Mike, any other business that you're aware of?
No.
All right, hearing none, we will be in recess until May 16th. We need one more signature, Mike.
Okay.